Zoom, or if you're watching online on YouTube or even later. So let me welcome you very, very warmly. You might have been here yesterday for our first part of the association journey, which was shared by our president, Aluska Ritchie. I have the honor of being your chair today, and my name is Viola Lewis. I'm an executive board member, and my portfolio on the board is training. So we have 4 of those association journeys, and each of the journeys will be shared by another Expo colleague. So yesterday we already had a wonderful journey, and we heard of the challenges and of the opportunities of our colleagues throughout the world. Yesterday we went to Malaysia, we went to Hungary, Slovenia, Italy, and Turkey. And today we've got an equally interesting lineup of our colleagues of our tourist guide associations. So today we will be going again to Hungary, then to Ireland, to Israel, to Peru, to Switzerland, and to London. And we also have some of our trainers who will share their journey briefly with us. So that leaves me, or gives me the opportunity to introduce our first speaker. And our first speaker is Eva Sitha, the vice chairperson of the Federation of Hungarian Tourist Guides. So we are going back to Budapest and Hungary. Enjoy our association's journey.
No, I can't hear again.
Hello, Eva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I hear. Until now, I couldn't hear anything.
Okay, sorry about that. So would you like to share your screen?
Yes, I share my screen. And where do I have?
There's a green button at the bottom of your screen.
Yes, I know, but now, okay. Yes, just a minute, it disappeared.
Shall we go to our second speaker, and then you have more time to look for your presentation?
Again, I have it here. Yes. Now. Okay. Can you see it?
No, or see it yet.
You can't see it yet.
No.
Okay. Yes, and now.
No,
okay. Here I have it. And share. Now. It's
that's
okay.
Good. Yeah, yes. That's good. And if you want to go to slideshow.
Yes.
Well done.
Slideshow. Yes.
That's it. Yep, that should be it. Click.
Okay. Now, so can I start?
Okay, we can't see the slideshow, but if you change your slides manually, then that
Yes,
should...
yes, I will do it manually. Yes, of course.
Okay, so
So,
can...
okay, finally, I will start. And I think I am very happy that I can be with you and greetings, nice greetings, heartily welcome from Hungary, from Budapest, from our beautiful country and our beautiful city. And I think it is the time to introduce our country for all of you who are living in the whole world. So our country can be found here in the very heart of Europe, in Central Europe. It can be also said that it is the Carpathian Basin. All around of our country, there are high mountains, like the Carpats in the Romania and Ukraine, and the Tatra Mountains in Slovakia, and the Alps in Austria, and the Dinarids in the south, in the Balkanic countries in Serbia and Croatia. The territory is 93,000 square kilometers. The population lies at 9.71 million as for the census of 2021. We have many rivers. The main river is the river Danube, which is the largest and longest river in Europe with 2,800 kilometers, and it is flowing through 10 countries. So we have, as being in a basin, that means that the most part of our country is plain. So we have the Great Hungarian Plain. You can see it on the picture. We have also a lot of horses riding all around. We have also nice rivers with a lot of animals and birds, for example. For example, we have here the largest national park. We have in Hungary 10 national parks.
Sorry to interrupt. We can't see your slides. We are still on your title slide. If you, they want us to see the nice horses you're talking about and the landscapes.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, if you move on to...
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're still on slide 1.
Oh, no. Huh.
You just click through the slides on the left-hand side. There should be a small picture of the slides, and then we will see the one you click on.
Can you see now?
I'm still seeing the first slide, the opening slide.
Slide control. Oh, but slide control is small. Record, backstage. I can't understand this.
Okay, in this case, let's just listen to your presentation and.
But I wanted.
Perhaps you can put there's an icon next to the percent below of the PowerPoint. You push this.
Vége. Na, okay. Akkor. And how about now? Következő. Can you see it now? Can you see now?
No, we just see the PowerPoint desktop. Do we have it on full screen?
Yes, I put it before that on full screen. Now it is not on full screen. Slide control and share.
Dear Eva, may I suggest just continue without the slides? It is very interesting to listen to you. So let's leave technology
Yeah,
and
okay.
also
Now,
Hungary.
or maybe no. Is it not possible that just now I will send it to you per email? No, maybe it is too big because there are lots of photos.
Let's use the last remaining
Okay.
minutes
No,
and
yeah.
just share your journey without the slides.
Yes. Okay. So so we have here in Hungary the Great Hungarian Plain, where we can find the largest national park with lots of animals and very interesting plants, with rivers, for example, and agriculture and industry is carried out here. And maybe you have heard, some of you might have heard about the goulash soup and the pörkölt, which is originating here. This is the most typical Hungarian food, which you can also taste in the restaurants in Hungary, in Budapest also. We have also here on the Great Hungarian Plain also several spas with medical water. Some of them are at around 50-60 degrees. And we have also very nice villages and great cities as well now. And the other geographical area in Hungary is a hilly area, which is called the Transdanubium. It is to the west from the river Danube. So this is the western part of Hungary, which is hilly, and it used to be at the Roman age the province Pannonia. So therefore, still today, we have there in the western part of Hungary, in Transdanubium, a very big Roman heritage as well. We have ancient castles, ruins, of course, some carved stones, cemeteries, etc., from the Roman age. In the middle of this beautiful landscape of Transdanubium, we have the Lake Balaton. It's the largest lake of Central Europe. I am really sorry, and I can't believe that you can see my slides. How about this one? Can you see now? Can you see my slides? Can you see my slides?
Dear Eva, I've joined you on stage again. No, we can't see your slides.
You can't see
the introduction. So may I suggest for the last 2 remaining minutes, tell us a little bit more about your association.
Okay.
It's really nice to hear about the beautiful country of
Yeah.
Hungary. But
Okay. So our association is 33 years old. So it was founded in 1990, and we have now around 200 members. And our task is to represent the professional and economic interest of the tourist guides in Hungary, to strive to enhance the professional level of tourist guiding, to eliminate illegal tourist guiding activities based on law, and to step up financial and social reward of tourist guides as well. And so we need to pay attention to relevant rules and regulations and submitting proposals to amend them. So we have a regulation which is saying that, which is providing that only those persons are allowed to carry on tourist guide activities who are professionals, so who has the license. So after fulfilling the successful examination, after that one can receive this card. Okay, and so it is the provision is that only those people can carry on the tourist guide activities who has this this special card. But unfortunately, this regulation is not implemented in practice because it is there is no provision which authority should make or carry on the on-site control. So there is no on-site control, or at least very limited. For example, we were striving to start such controls. We formulated a letter that based on our regulations, those who have not this special a card of the licensed tourist guides are doing illegal tourist guiding activities, and they are because of them, unfortunately, many of our colleagues have not enough work, so they leave without work, unfortunately. So we prepared a package of proposals for amendment of these regulations, and we submitted it to the National Tourism Agency, which is a governmental organization, and they of course accepted that, but unfortunately it doesn't move forward. So we made lots and lots of efforts. We contacted also the Parliamentary Commission on Tourism, the municipality, the Chamber of Commerce, and we got only promises. From the municipality, we got rejection, that it is not their job to deal with the tourist guides. So lots and lots of efforts and letters overhanding to illegal tourist guides, etc. And we made a text, and so we made a report about this control which we carried out, and still nothing moved forward. So we are working.
Yeah, but I can see it has been a challenging year for
very challenging year. Yes, that's right, really right, and it is sometimes very hopeless. So that means every day groups are coming to visit Budapest, especially from Asian countries, from Asia, India, for example, Malaysia, Thailand, etc. And they don't book any tourist guide here in Budapest. Their own
their own tour managers who are guiding.
Yeah, tour manager and yes, are making.
It's true, isn't it, that a lot of visitors don't know that we tourist guides have an area-specific qualification, and we are really interpreting the heritage of our country. So you have really demonstrated that our work goes on, and we wish you all the very best in the future for this. And of course, being a member of the forum of the global forum for tourist guides, our voice, or the voice of one association, it's much stronger together. Yeah, so thank you, Eva, for your presentation. I'm afraid time is up.
Okay.
And again, thank you for persevering with technology.
But maybe I can send my presentation to you, and you can put it on the website or the YouTube channel. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next speaker, our next colleague, will be Jessie MacDonald of the Approved Tourist Guides of Ireland. So Jessie, coming from the western side of Europe. Please join me on stage, Jessie, and tell us about your Tourist Guide Association and about especially the journey this year, the challenges and the opportunities you faced and the projects you're carrying out. So looking forward to listening to you.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to share the success stories and the challenges of the past year. My name is Jessie MacDonald, and I am a member of ATGA, the Approved Tourist Guides of Ireland. So I hope everybody can see my screen and hear me. Yes? Hopefully that's the case. Can you hear me, Viola?
Hello, Jessie. Yeah, I just came back on stage and we can hear you loud and clear. Wonderful. We can see your screen as well, but it's not in slideshow mode. I don't know if you could go to a slideshow mode.
Certainly. There we go.
Fantastic. That's it. Okay.
So I'll start with a good news story. It's been a very positive year for tourist guides with the return time of overseas visitors. And according to the Irish Tourism Industry Confederation, which is ITIC, they say that 63% of tourist guides have reported an increase in visitors, and 56% of guides attribute that success to their own marketing initiatives. And I suppose that just underlines the point that it is crucial that we as tourist guides are capable of doing our own marketing. To quote ITIC, demand from overseas and domestic markets is reported as having made a resilient recovery in 2023. And their forecast is for renewed growth in international travel. The forecasts are positive despite the current geopolitical situation. So continue with their forecast is that we'll be back to pre-pandemic levels by 2026. And they highlight the fact that current investment is in two main areas, that of regional development and that of extending the visitor season. And a lot of money is being thrown at that by Irish authorities, 68 million euro for developing tourism in the Midlands and 37 million to extend the season. So that's an opportunity for ATGA members with the growing demand for tourist guides, both in the English language and increasingly in other languages. Now, the other good news story is that membership is up. And when I say up, I mean really up. It has doubled in 3 years, and it has increased by over 100 members in just 1 year last year. So this is a double-edged sword. It creates a challenge. How do we cope physically with the increased workload? So the solution we came up with in ATGA is to streamline the application process. There's now an online application form only. You cannot have a hard copy. And the membership secretary receives an email with new applicant in the subject line. The applicants themselves have to create a profile for themselves where they fill in the relevant details and they have to upload the relevant documentation. So that means that unless they have ticked all the boxes, it doesn't go through to the membership secretary. And once the membership secretary receives that email, he or she simply verifies that everything that is required is there and asks the board for approval. So it has really helped in the automation of the membership application process, and even renewals are now only done online. You have to pay online and no longer with checks or with cash. We've also increased the paid hours for our one employee to deal with that extra workload. Sorry. There we go. The increased workload and the extended season means that it is increasingly difficult for board members to get together physically or even on Zoom to meet each other and have board meetings. But we did succeed in having 2 in-person meetings this year and 7 virtual meetings and 12 subcommittee meetings. So increasingly we have to use Zoom platform. We had a hybrid AGM, which allowed many members who would not otherwise have been able to attend the AGM to attend. And we're also setting up what we call streams. So I'll explain that in more detail here. Streams would be subcommittees made up of members with at least 1 director on each subcommittee. So we have various categories. For example, next year, immediately next week, even we have just finished our AGM. We will have a subcommittee for driver guides. And that is a category where, to my surprise, I discovered we had over 70 members who are driver guides. And they have very specific legislation, and sometimes they have difficulty interpreting the legislation. So we have asked for a meeting with the National Transport Authority's head officer for compliance in order to get straight answers to our questions. So that's in the process, that's in the pipeline. Also, there was a demand at the AGM for the recognition of badges from Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK. And there was a request from one member that we would allow people from Northern Ireland who had done their training from either of the two institutes there to be allowed to join our association. So that's a big topic. It created a lot of interest. And again, there's going to be a subcommittee for that, or a stream. We've known for years we need to be more present on the digital, the various platforms, social media platforms. We just haven't had the manpower. The solution, we hope, is to get expert advice from people expert in that field and then follow their plan with a subcommittee, with volunteers, with members who are not on the board. Trade liaison and training and standards, that subcommittee, those subcommittees have already been up and running and doing a lot of good work this year. And of course, we will need, we already have a subcommittee for the WFTGA bid to host the 2026 convention. If we are successful at the end of January, we will need a lot more volunteers to cope with the extra workload. Now, we've also gone ahead with our usual business. We have had a FAM trip, a 2-day FAM trip to Northern Ireland this year, and that is in response to a request at the AGM last year, excuse me. With the collaboration of our counterparts in Northern Ireland, NITCA, we organised a tour of Belfast and Derry, Londonderry, and we also had regional tours, day tours to 3 counties in Ireland, Cork, Wicklow and Kilkenny. We've continued with online talks, but we've decided to concentrate on experts in their field. So we've had recently, for example, an expert in geology, and we've had 3 fantastic webinars from them. So going forward, we're tending to ask experts in their field. And we just had a very successful hybrid AGM outside of Dublin, outside of the capital, in order to respond to the demand from members. It's more cost effective to have it outside the capital, and it is also more convenient for people to be able to attend, even if they live in remote areas. So there is an extra cost to that. It costs about €5,000 extra to have a hybrid event where people can attend it virtually, but we feel it's worth it because it makes for a more democratic association. Now, the main one of the main areas we have looked into this year was to put in a bid to host the 2026 WFTGA convention in Cork, my native city in Ireland. And in order to do that, we had to do a feasibility study. And at the beginning, I was very reticent to take on something so big. But as I delved into it, I discovered that it would help us achieve our aim. Something, again, that came from the floor at the last AGM, and that was to raise the profile of our association amongst the tourism stakeholders. So already, and now we know that we are one of the 4 finalists, and we will be present in Sicily going forward. Already we have achieved those aims in raising the profile. We have worked in collaboration with a professional conference organizer, CPI. We've worked in collaboration with various tourism stakeholders like the Tourism Board of Ireland, like the Cork Convention Bureau, the Lord Mayor, the municipality, and so on. So we're absolutely thrilled. Although it has been a lot of hard work and there were many, many hoops to jump through, some would say too many, we have achieved already those aims. And we're just looking forward to to meeting you all in person in Sicily, hopefully in a few weeks' time. So it only remains for me to say, to join us there, either in person or virtually. We're very much looking forward to attending in person a WFTGA convention. And I would say to other member associations of the WFTGA, it's a fantastic process to go through. You learn a lot from it, and it creates a common bond also amongst your members and a common objective, and hopefully helps in that bonding of the members. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, they're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Jessie. And my goodness, 100 more members. What an achievement, but as you say, a double-edged sword. So well done for welcoming so many members. And also thank you for reminding us of the bid countries for the 2026 convention. What we actually do at the end of each of our journey sessions we are having just now. Yesterday, we showed the video produced by our colleagues in Malaysia, and over today, and then over the next two sessions, there will be the videos professionally prepared by the other three bidders. So Cork will be coming up by tomorrow or the day after. Today, we'll be going to the Philippines for the convention video. But thank you very much again, Jessie from Cork. And it gives me great pleasure now to welcome our next chairperson of the Tourist Guide Association member, and it's Yoni Shapira from Israel, from Israel's incoming Tourist Guide Association. I'm really delighted, Yoni, you could join us today, and looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Viola. And it's great being here and seeing all these colleagues from around the world. I'm in the webinar, but I cannot see. Let's see if I could share the screen. By the way, the picture behind me is a model of Jerusalem that I was in charge of as curator in Times Square in 2017, Gulliver's Gate, if any of you get there and visit it. I'm going to my share screen. And can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you very much, Yoni. Everything works well.
Okay, so we are heading on, and this is our report for 2023 for Moreshet Derech, name of our association, which means Heritage Trail. It's the incoming Tourist Guide Association of Israel. And basically a few words about the country. I see it's not, now it is changing. It's a small country. It's in the middle of the Middle East. We have 9.5 million citizens. Our peak tourism was in 2019, 4.5 million tourists. And in our association, we represent 1,500 member tour guides out of totally about 3,500 incoming tour guides, and total registered in the Ministry of Tourism, about 7,000 tour guides, many of them also domestic, who have only one of two languages, or both languages, Hebrew and Arabic, the two official languages of the country. The country is known primarily because it's the Holy Land. Although it's very small, everybody wants to visit it. And be it Muslim, Christian, Jews, places like Nazareth, Haifa, Tel Aviv, the #1 gay destination in the world, Jerusalem, the central hub for the three monotheistic Abrahamic religions, and so on and so forth. And among the association, we have tour guides who are Jewish, who are Muslim, Christian, Druze, Bedouin, Israelis, Palestinians, depends on how they define themselves. So we have quite a variety of narratives, but the story is the same story, the history that goes back from the days of Abraham, and before that through Jesus, Muhammad, First Temple period, Second Temple period, all the way till today. This year was a great year, or started as a great year. Following COVID, we went back to normal in 2020, in March of 22, and we have reached about 70 to 75% of the 2019 pandemic years. So we started doing our educational tours, assisting tour guides who were economically affected during COVID and needed some additional support with food rations and whatever we collected from donations during COVID. And we tried to convince the Ministry of Tourism to change regulations, involve us more in what's happening, and do a national survey of tour guides to find out how many have left the industry and the profession in 2000 or during COVID years. And unfortunately, we still do not have a full picture of it. Within our voluntary activity, we have volunteered to assist with infrastructure and community issues that affected tourism. So for instance, redoing and retouching archaeological digs, or going to a dig site that you could see here in the picture, before and after creating a path that was all grown over during COVID, and volunteers cleared it out, and a place for sit down and a place of exposing the archaeology to the visitor's eye, something that was obviously not accessible after COVID. So we are involved with that. We also were involved in meeting a lot of Christian clergy and providing several services together with them. One of them was escorts. You could see here on the bottom left, the woman here in the yellow jacket. She is a tour guide. We had such tour guides, and sometimes police escorting convoys, or I would say not convoys, but processions of Greek Orthodox, of Armenian. Here it's a Catholic patriarch and bishops that are heading from their location in the old city of Jerusalem to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for ceremonies, and sometimes they were abused both by Muslim youngsters, but also from Jewish Orthodox youngsters that have a problem with Christianity and so on. And we made sure to take pictures of them and follow up with a complaint to the police, helping the clergy with it, who were really not interested in going all the way to the police. We did it with them. So we met with heads of the communities, heads of the Christian churches, and we also helped on the right-hand side with reconstructing some of the older 19th century cemeteries that were in disarray, where some of the graves were smashed, and we helped cleaning them up and rebuilding them. So we were very active during this year, and it all changed in one day. And I have to take a deep breath, because that one day, October 7th, exactly 2 months ago, was the worst atrocities against the Jewish people that we have witnessed since the Holocaust. 1,300 civilians, women, children, men, were massacred, murdered, raped, mutilated. 340 women, children, and elderly, including Holocaust survivors, were taken as hostages to the city of Gaza, and a war literally broke out as a result of that, because till then we had a so-called ceasefire, and we were used to living within a routine of ceasefire with barrages of rockets every now and then, but still it was peaceful and tourists came. During the Holocaust, we have to remember there was no Jewish sovereign state. And when Israel created as the only Jewish state in the world, never again was an ethos that Israel was established on. We are not going to accept a massacre of Jews and a rampage of anti-Semitism, wherever it is, because Israel has a sovereign Jewish state and Jewish army. However, October 7th took place, and it did happen again. And this put us all into shock. The magnitude of the massacre was 15 times that of 9/11, if you look at the proportion to the population. So you can just think of how bad it is. Tourism went from 100 to 0 in one day. Literally every group that was here, we had to shuffle out of the country, and we put together with the Ministry of Tourism a few volunteers, both Palestinian Arab speakers from Bethlehem and other places, to move them out to the airport and send them on the way. The hostages are still there. The war is raging for the last 60 days, and 250,000 civilians, Israelis, were evacuated from 2 areas in the country. One in the Galilee, where the Hezbollah joined the show with shelling northern communities, northern kibbutzim cities, and so on, and from the western Negev, and all were evacuated to the hotel. Unfortunately, the world is silent, and this is something that disturbs us very much, and we have to deal with it. Where is the war raging from? So here we have a map of Israel in the small yellow on the right-hand side, and the Gaza Strip that's now taken over by the Israeli army. We could not accept that kind of hostility. We are not at war with the Palestinians. We have called them for, and still calling them, to move to the southern part to the Rafah and the Egyptian border area for a safe haven where we will not shell and bomb. And we are going after the infrastructure of a terrorist organization called Hamas. And they have over 500 miles of underground tunnels that they have taken the hostages to, and that's where the communication stockpilage. Today, we found the biggest stockpile of arms under a school and in an infirmary. And we also have the north, the Galilee, where all the kibbutzim, moshavim from here and from around the Gaza Strip were all evacuated to hotels. And here on the left-hand side, you could see how long it takes you before you have to duck down into bomb shelters when barrages start. And every day we have 4 or 5 barrages, including an hour ago that were towards Tel Aviv, major populated area in the center of the country. 1.5 million people have to duck, lie on the ground, put their hands overhead, or run into a building. So this is something that is not acceptable to live by. So what we started, the minute the war started, we reinstated an unemployment committee, helping the tour guides to receive compensation. We had meetings with the heads of the Social Security, and here in the middle picture, we could see my deputy, Wilam, a Chinese guide, licensed Israeli guide, who is Christian in her background, speaks Hebrew, studies biblical studies, and guides in Cantonese and in English. And she's head of the unemployment committee, going into the detailed way of how to get compensation, which we've still not received from COVID. Next to her is Gadi, also one of our involved members in our executive board, who is now called up to reserve duty and is serving in the army. So we had meetings with the government, we had meetings with everybody. However, Ministry of Tourism has not met with us yet, and it's 2 months into the war. We were exposed to media. I was, and others were on media, on TV, on interviews, and the fighting is going on. And here is where we decided we cannot sit at home and wait for help. We have to help the country that is in need. And right now, with 250,000 evacuated people leaving their homes, leaving everything behind, people started volunteering. Food, toys, goods, medication, driving families around, families who lost everything. The homes were burned, the cars were burned. People who are grieving that lost their children, or the sons, daughters, grandparents are still as hostages. So here you could see some of our vans, touring vans, like we learned that they have in Ireland. We have 550 of them, that each one has a van with higher standards, and we need a special license and insurance to cover it. And we packed it with goods that are distributed from different places in the country to other places in the country. And it's all out of our pocket, our money, our paying the gas, and our time, but it keeps us busy, and we want to help. So this is some of the things that we are doing. So we have several WhatsApp groups of needed to send things from here to there, from this to that, taking soldiers who have a 20-hour break from coming out of Gaza to run from one side of the country to the other, just to see their girlfriends, wives, children, and have a shower and go back to battle. So this is keeping us pretty busy. We established an emergency fund, and I'm right now in the process, 1 minute and I'm finishing. Viola, emergency fund to raise money. And how do we think of raising money? Every one of us as tour guides has made friends with our tourists, especially when you spend a week, 10 days, 2 weeks with a group, mostly on religious, faith-based tourism, Christian pilgrims, pastors, churches, communities, where they invite us to come to their countries and speak to their churches to bring them to Israel, or Jewish tourists that come on family visits, community synagogue tours. They're personal friends. So we can approach them to say, come on, guys, help us out. We need your help. In the meantime, tourism will not go back to normal. Why? Because all the hotels are being occupied by these Jewish refugees, the 250,000 that are taking public spaces for classrooms and kindergartens and psychological assistance, and kids are playing and drawing on walls and furniture and so on. After everything goes to normal, hotels will have to be revamped and rebuilt in order to go back to accept tourism. So once the war is over, and I hope for the benefit of the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, and for our sake, with the hostages, let the hostages come home, the war end, and we will start living a new life with a new reality. And doing this and spreading this, or sharing this information with the WFTGA, we were putting together a committee of how can we help Ukraine. Well, this is how you can help us. We need the WFTGA to take a stand, a public stand as a committee that represents guides all over the world, and we are messengers of peace. We bring cultures together, we bring stories together, we bring narratives together. We are not pushing a conflict, we are creating a dialogue, and therefore take a stand against terrorism, rape, which is totally unacceptable, genocide. When the calls for genocidal calls in Europe and in America of wipe out the Jews is happening in universities, massacres and anti-Semitism. So this is something that for Saracusa conference, I would like to see that a letter would be put out to the UNWTO to take a stand against these atrocities that are unacceptable. Thank you very
much, Yoni, for coming to our session today and for sharing your messages with us. And all our television screens are full of the terrible news, from different parts of the world. And as you say, we as tourist guides, we are peace ambassadors. Absolutely, we bring people together. We are a non-political organization, but we absolutely stand for peace everywhere in the world. And may I also congratulate you, Yoni, on all the volunteering you are doing, and other tourist guides as well. So we are not only professional tourist guides, but we are human beings too. And we have a wonderful profession where we meet other fellow human beings. And as you say, we do stand up for peace wherever we can. So thank you yet again. And
thank you.
And give our best regards to your colleagues as well. May I now invite the next speaker onto the stage, and we are going to a completely different part of the world. Now we are going to Peru. So Gerardo of ASGUIPA, the Association of Professional Tourist Guides of Arequipa, will be joining us. And I'm looking forward to hearing your news of the other side of the world from where I am. I'm in Scotland, by the way. Our headquarters, the WFTGA headquarters, is in Vienna, but the executive board is kind of spread, located in different parts of the world. Okay, over to you, Gerardo.
¿Qué tal? Muy buenos días. Here in Peru, this is 10:30 in the morning. Bien, amigos. My name is Gerardo Pinto. I'm president of one of these guiding associations we have in Peru, in Arequipa, of course. Just a little bit, Peru is it's a quite large country in South America. We are about 30 million people, which capital is Lima, where we are nearly 10 million people in Lima. And where I live, and I'm connected, is Arequipa. In Arequipa, we are 1.5 million people. This is the second largest city of Peru. Bien, amigos, what about our challenges we have this year? If you were following some news about Peru, December 2022, a year ago, we had a political crisis which effects, they were really bad for this industry, tourism. Easily 40% of these bookings, they dropped. And of course, our colleagues, tour guides, they didn't have a job for few months. It's normally the season starts in March, but this one moved to June, more or less to June. And well, great part of us, we have a family, and very few along pandemic, very few of us along pandemic, we had a great idea to found well, some friends, they might value of us. So it's in this way that the Peruvian government compromised to support with some money only once, but this promising, it took a long time. It was in January, more or less, of 2022, and we just got the benefit a few weeks ago, no? A few weeks ago. It was very sad, and at the end, not the amount of money that they promised. Well, the other problem, a problem we have, is the law, the guiding law. It was modified, or well, it was approved to be modified middle of 2022, and we are still working in some articles, okay? Because you know, in Peru, we have to study about 3 years to get a license to be a tour guide. So we have to study. It could be in a state university, or it could be in a private institution or a private university. So there is an investment. And of course, no, you have to study, give exams. At the end, the quality of knowledge we manage is well, it's pretty good. So we are professionals. You must be a professional to work as a tour guide. But this law we had, it gave, or they opened a window. No, well, it was a door. They opened a door that any person, any professional, right, they could do this job. So it was very controversial. We had to work quite a lot to convince authorities to stop that idea, because in reality it was to pay some political favors on the way. But isn't this way that the Congress finally, no, they reconsider, and that's why, no, this law, it was modified, and as I said a few seconds ago, we are working in changing some of these articles to stop that intention. So they are the main achievements, challenges we have in Peru. No, working, laws, yes, and well, the political situation in Peru is not as bad as in other parts of the world, but the consequences, they could be very bad if we don't have a solution this year. Muy bien. What about the achievements? As GIPA, as a member of the federation, we are working constantly in prepare or invite our members, not only members of my association, members of other associations of Arequipa, to be, well, to get some courses about archaeology, about biology, guiding techniques, to learn more about of some of these important or icon places visited by tourists, international tourists, like Santa Catalina Convent or museums that we have in the area. Okay, so that's something that we are working all the time. At least once a month, we prepare and we offer a course to the members of this association, and as I said, members of other associations, all freelance tour guides. Yes. We were working as well. We had a lot of meetings with authorities to work about this economical support from the local government. It was quite long, tiring, exhausting. At the end, no, at the beginning they promised quite something like $1,000 per person. But at the end, we only got $200 and less, and not all of us. No, there is a situation here. No, as a tour guide, as an independent worker, on the way you don't have any benefit to get a free health service or a pension. Okay, which is something that other activities they have. The thing is that we are working, no, in this way. The economical benefits, because we pay taxes, yes, and we are working how to get these services like health service, which is so important, and to work in some laws to get a pension in the future. You know, tourism for us as a tour guides is our passion. We start working first as an experience, and 20, 30 years later, you realize that you are still working, no, in this business. And 30 years working is true, no, is you're well paid in some way. But as any worker who pay taxes, we don't get any support from the main government or the state. So it's something that we have to work in cooperation with other associations, no? Because this is a common problem. Expectations in 2024, we are working in how to increase the number of members of our association. It's important, no, because it's the only way to get or to work in projects. Okay, at the moment in my association we are about 42, 43 people. We will get some more, maybe 4 or 5. But that's a plan, no? To work how to increase the members of my association. The other thing is we work in social programs. Yes, you know, we are living now a crisis with climate in Peru, like in the rest of the world. Maybe you hear about the El Niño phenomenon. So we are now in transition of this phenomenon, and we are now watching some of the consequences of this. So it's a lot of rural areas that they will need some help. And talking with the members of the association, we are working in projects to help these people in the future. No? And work again, as I told you, in these laws to get benefits as a workers in my country. As GIPA, my association or our association is it was founded in 1999. So this 24, we are celebrating 25 years of the foundation. So we are working, no, in the programs we will have to celebrate these 25 years of foundation. Bien amigos, this is what we have, right? And I hope it was clear. And if you have any question, I will be so happy to answer.
Thank you
Viola?
very much, Gerardo. Thank you so much. And a really balanced presentation of your challenges, achievements, and also expectations. And we wish you all the best in our continued endeavor for all of us to highlight that tourist guides are a profession and, as you say, also deserve professional benefits. So thank you very, very much.
Gracias.
Gracias. And enjoy the rest of the day. So good morning once more to Akipa. But without further much ado, dear colleagues and watchers and listeners, let's go to Switzerland. Our next speaker is Benno Stupp of the Swiss Tourist Guide Association. And let's listen to our colleagues' projects, challenges, and achievements there. Over to you, Benno.
Thank you very much. Yes, hello to everyone. I am Benno from the Swiss Tourist Guide Association, called the ASGT. That's the French abbreviation for Association Suisse de Guides Touristiques. Yes, I'm glad to present you shortly the ASGT, which is a member of the Swiss Tourism Association, the STA, which is on their behalf the umbrella organization of Swiss tourism. Swiss tourism has quite a nice part of the turnover in the Swiss industry. We have about 17 billion Swiss francs as a turnover last year. So in tourism, there are a lot of people engaged, and a lot of people earn their living through foreign tourists coming to Switzerland on one hand, but also local tourism in Switzerland, which is also a big influence. I myself, an outdoor guide and tour leader. I'm also member of the board from the ASGT. As a guide, my personal focus lies in educational tourism more than others. Some of it is recreational in different environments. And that's a bit my impact, my background. In Switzerland, there are a lot of different guides working. We have the tour guides, tourist guides, city guides. We have mountain guides, trekking guides, a lot of leisure guides. Their guiding is a big thing. But Switzerland is quite particular in its legislation about guiding. There is no such thing as an implemented law for guides. So actually anybody can be a guide. And therefore there is no official training or there is no official diploma to become a guide in Switzerland. That applies only for tourist guides. Ski instructors or mountain guides, sure, they have a very severe and serious training to undergo. But our association, the ASGT, sees itself as a non-profit association for those guides working in Swiss tourism, such as city guides or tour guides, museum guides, nature guides, and also people working in educational tourism. Even though the association is open to all persons who actively practice their profession, its central concern is to achieve the appreciation and recognition as tourist guides by the Governmental Secretary of Education, Research and Innovation. So we are sitting at the table with all the other branches like hotels, transports, tour operators, agencies, which of course depend as well on our services. The association itself provides services to its members. It accompanies and supports them in their professional and social advancement, also promotes their reputation and recognition in their profession. Our association strives to ensure a high level of quality in the care of its guests. However, the ASGT is open to partnerships with other organizations interested in Swiss tourism and the exchange of experience, of course. A membership in the ASGT is open to all persons who are actively involved, like I said, in Swiss tourism and representative hosting. One particular thing about the ASGT is our communication, because Switzerland is a multilingual country. Our association speaks French, German, and Italian to its members, and on events and further education meetings, we do need to often simultaneously translate so everybody can understand. Even English would be the most common language. We do not communicate to each other in English. We try to figure out how we can manage this in German or French, or sometimes in Italian. Of course, because we have customers from all over the places, our guides are all coming from a different background. Many of them are Swiss, but many of them have a foreign background, and they can be guides in their particular language, from Eastern countries to Asian countries to Spanish and all these Latin languages, which are rather common. To our members, we offer, like the ones who are active members of our associations, and I must say there are not so many because it's not a need, it's compulsory. We offer a virtual platform, like a website, where either customers or guides can search and contact qualified tourist guides among our active member pool, or guides who can advertise their profiles and their services to everybody. The platform is available on their www.swisstourguide.com, and it is one of many different websites where you can find guides to match your needs and wishes. But it offers a simple and practical handling for the selection of suitable guest hosts. Criteria might be, for example, the area or the region or the city where you want to find a guide. Also by language or by activity, there are different points you can find somebody who is matching what you're looking for. One of our focus and what we really are stressing on is like a continuous education and quality promotion in guiding. An active continuous education and smart training in guiding skills are a matter of honor for an ASGT member, and every serious professional tourist guide should really always reconsider to look for further education. It just optimizes the quality standard in guest care and increases professional and social competence, nationwide, international. That's what we really want to do. What is really important for us in Switzerland at the moment, it's a big issue as well. It's like the inclusion of people with special physical or psychological needs, e.g. barrier-free traveling. That's quite on the menu too. So we are really, it's also a market, like a lot of people would like to travel, but they cannot. So we would like to make it happen and possible for everybody. And visiting and experiencing a country should be made possible for everybody. I think we're all quite agreeing on that. So for us, on upcoming projects is like certainly enhancing our website, but I guess that is like everybody's issue all the time. You have to update, and it's always a site under construction. And another one is like we are focusing on the continuing training and education. And for this, we have different issues, we have different themes. They can go in history, they can go in culture, but and you can make a pick. If you're a guide and you would like to know more about something, then you can pick one of our education modules. We have about, in our association, are about 124 active members, which is compared to the number of guides in this country, not that big, but we are actually the only really official one. So sometimes we have old guides, they drop out, we have new guides coming in. So the number of our members is varying from year to year. And as I said before, we don't have a governmental law for tourist guides. So tourist guides are normally working after the standards of their employers or the branch they're working for. Unfortunately, there is often a quality difference in incentive or mass tourism guiding. Both got their right of existence, and it's the guests who decide what kind of service they would like to buy. And for the guides, it's by their own performance and success in guiding. They will justify their employment. So the conclusion is the ASGT is offering support to keep its members up to date, to follow new tendencies, and just to build up a network all over the country. And the aim of our efforts is to represent tourist guides in tourist industry, here and abroad, being aware of and part of the cultural and actual changes, especially in sustainability and recreation and in quality improvement. So to make a long speak short, goodbye from me with a big thank to you all in behalf of the ASGT for your intention and your openness to participate in an exchange of experience across borders. I wish to everybody a very good season and grand turismo. Bye.
Thank you very much, Benno. Thank you so much. You touched on a lot of really important issues: tourism for all, openness, education as well, standards. A lot of tourist guides, as you will know, especially in Northern Europe and in other parts of the world, our profession is unregulated. So exactly as Benno said, the way we distinguish ourselves from other guides is through standards, through training, and through education. And this brings me actually on to our next two speakers who will be joining me on screen shortly. We will have one more Tourist Guide Association speaking to us at the end of our session, so slowly coming to the end of our session. But first of all, I would like to invite Maria and Helga to join me on stage. And they are two of our national trainers, two of our WFTGA trainers. I know this is about the journey of tourist guides associations over the last year. So we thought a little interlude and look at the journey of two of our trainers. So both Helga and Maria attended a course, the Train the Trainer course in our International Training Center in Cyprus last November. And let's hear what they have been up to, so to speak, since their qualification.
Who starts?
Helga, please start.
So I start. First, I wanted to thank you, and especially the training committee, for now a gift, or is it maybe something I should say it's not such a good thing? Because now when I look other colleagues guiding, I always observe what they do, and especially what they do not do right. Position, stand, and positioning, and you should this and you should that. I had such a great experience during the 2 weeks in Cyprus, and it made me very, very conscious about what is a good and bad habit in our tourist guide life. And immediately coming back from Cyprus, I had the opportunity to do an internship at the University of Paris 10. It is a big university, over 50,000 students, and they have a special course for tourist guides. And there I did my internship, and in last July, I was admitted as a teacher at the university, and I already gave 24 hours of teaching at the university. I have a teacher's background. I'm a German teacher, and teaching to groups was something I abandoned because too stressy, and I didn't feel well. And something that I learned in Cyprus, and I cannot thank enough this door that opened again. I'm really enjoying again teaching. I'm having I have to thank the students in my class for giving me so much pleasure back. It is always a present I get when I'm saying goodbye, see you next time. No, is those smiles, the questions, and ideas that comes from a group of future tourist guides that you prepare for their future profession. And last but not least, I would like to thank also the opportunity that gave me these 2 weeks, and after the virtual meetings I had with my fellow colleagues of that time, that now are friends, like it is Maria, that will talk to you in a couple of seconds.
Thank you very much, Helga. It sounds you hit the ground running, so to speak. Well done. And I'm glad to hear you are enjoying the training as you enjoy the guiding. So passion, I think, as one of our previous speakers says, Gerardo, is very, very important. So Maria, would you like to share your journey over the last year?
Yes, of course. I have designed the presentation, so just give me 1 second. Okay, so greetings to everybody. For me, it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm Maria Rostvorova. I'm a tourist guide from Kyiv, Ukraine. Currently, I'm living in Austria. And last year, in November 2022, I have got this chance, and actually I have taken it, to go through the course and I have become the national trainer for the tourist guides in Ukraine, and currently I collaborate with the Ukrainian tourist guide associations, and I present them on this Zoom today. So like, as you all know, right now there is still war, which is unfortunately been continuing in Ukraine. So we still have the Russian military invasion, and the second war winter is ahead. And this is the main challenge which affects on Ukrainian tourism, and which affects on the tourist guiding in Ukraine, because due to the war and due to these security reasons, Ukrainian cities and Kyiv city as well has a much less amount of tourists that it has been before the war or even after COVID. And actually this is the biggest challenge for the Ukrainian tourism and for the Ukrainian tourist guiding in general. And in the same time, I would like to mention that today we are having the 6th of December, and today in Ukraine, both we celebrate St. Nicholas Day, and as well we celebrate the day of the Ukrainian army, which currently defends Ukrainian borders and European border. And actually, thanks to the Ukrainian army, we have this opportunity to develop tourism and to continue our job on tourism development. And further, I would like to mention several activities which are the most significant ones on my way as the national trainer and on my way as a tourism professional. And I would like to say that the course of the training in Cyprus really have inspired me a lot for these activities, and has strongly impacted on my further professional development. So the most fresh piece of news that actually on December 1st, I have conducted my first training for the Ukrainian Association of the Tourist Guides. And here on this slide, you can see a screenshot from this online training. So the training has been dedicated to the methodology of the tourist guiding for the people with disabilities, and due to the effects of the war in our tourist guiding, we should really consider how to work with these guests. And actually, I really enjoyed this training as well as the participants, and I hope this is my start of training activity for the Ukrainian tourist guides, both in online and as well hopefully on site. As well, during this year, I have visited the VTM London exhibition in the collaboration with my colleagues from the Kyiv City State Administration, and actually we have a very strong intention to redevelop and to recover tourism after the war, and due to this, a lot of activities as well for the tourist guides education are taking place right now in Ukraine. And actually, I would like to share that we have created with my 4 colleagues, we have created a climate-friendly travel initiative for Ukraine. So in the collaboration with Sanix Malta, and now we are working as well with the tourist guides for the development of the climate-friendly travel approach in Ukraine. And I would like to welcome you to join our Facebook page because we really like this international engagement. And as a previous speaker has already mentioned, right now climate change is on this global agenda. So to conclude, I would like to say that we have this challenge of the war in Ukraine, this Russian military invasion, and as I have mentioned, it is the strongest challenge for the Ukrainian tourism and the Ukrainian tourism guiding. In the same time, tourism and tourist guiding has place in Ukraine, and we are really eager to restart tourism, and that's because Ukrainian tourist guides take their time for preparation them in the best manner, and that's because I would like again to say my gratitude and appreciation to this course of the World Federation of the Tourist Guides, because this knowledge really helps me and creates the opportunity to teach Ukrainian tourist guides according to the world standards, which is crucially important, and hopefully to see you on the next courses and on the next WFTGA event. So my big greeting to everybody who is here and who will watch this webinar.
Thank you so much, Maria. And thank you also for preparing a workshop for our upcoming convention in Sicily in January 2024. So you will hear more from Maria there. Yeah, so if you are interested to hear more about the training division of WFTGA, please come back tomorrow. Tomorrow I will also be giving a brief overview of the role and the purpose of actually having trainers in our organization. But back now to you, dear colleagues of the Tourist Guide Associations. We have one last colleague ready, standing backstage, and that's Glyn Jones of the Professional Association of Tourist Guides of London. So Glyn, would you like to come and take the stage for our last presentation today?
Good afternoon, everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Glyn Jones. I am a member of the Association of Professional Tourist Guides, a London-based association that represents tourist guides who are specifically Blue Badge guides based in London. Many of us are members of the Guild of British Tourist Guides that organises training. There's the Institute that liaises with government, and there are other associations in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. 2 secs. Let's have a look at what we were planning on doing. We'll have that. We'll have. There we go. The Association of Professional Tourist Guides, unfortunately, it's rather an old JPEG, so I wasn't, but gives you the idea. It's affiliated to a trade union, whilst competition and marketing prevents us from setting fees officially. We do negotiate amongst ourselves a trade rate and an advertised trade rate, and that's forms a basis on which we charge clients, whether they be trade members or private members, depending on where our businesses come from. I'm looking at challenges and opportunities that have taken place over the last 2 years, effectively. Visitors, principally in 22, 23, as you've heard, I was reminded at the beginning of this this meeting how we're with the difficulties with Zoom and technology as to how far we have come, and that we're all out of practice because we've been dealing with people. The term unprecedented demand was frequently mentioned. There were certain days this year I could have worked 3 times in different people doing different things. What became there was almost the fear of over tourism, where numbers and the sites, and we're still sites that we visit were suffering from post-COVID staff shortages or lack of funding, so we're not open on specific days, which meant that means there's a greater volume condensed into a shorter period. You may be aware that there were some significant royal events took place. This is a sovereign nation. We have a monarch at the head of it, a queen in 2022 and a king in 2023. I'll mention briefly those events as we go on. We've suffered some industrial action, again, post-COVID. People have worked through COVID and then turned around and said is enough is enough. And I've visited demographic, discussive issues, and I'm a driver guide myself, as well as a step-on guide, as well as walking guide, as well as giving the Christmas lights tour next week. Traffic restrictions, and then there was the debate about sustainability and emission controls to discuss. This is, I'm calling from London. We are talking about, we are in England. We cannot pass without discussing the weather here. That's what we do. And then we'll just run over the challenges and opportunities that we're going to talk. So visitors of 2022, according to our Visit Britain, the sort of trade nation for tourists, we were down 24% on 2019. But still 31 million people took the risk and arrived. Many people contracted COVID in the process, that 2022 years, or not in the process of coming, but as a result of the changes, and so the lack of predictability around travel arrangements and being the disruption of travel arrangements. I remember starting a tour with 6 people and ending up with 2 by day 3. The spend was therefore down on 17% on 2019, so we're down, but still 26 billion into the national economy. So we can only forecast what 2023 was like, and I can give you the official figures that's saying that with getting back towards 2019. They say not. They say down by 37.5. Well, they say we're down by 92% on 8% less than in 2019. I beg to differ. The queue, the little picture in the corner here, is in Windsor High Street. This queue is tailing back around a church, down a hill, around a corner, up to the entrance of Windsor Castle. And that will take about an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get through to the security part of Windsor Castle. But the spend was interesting, of £30 billion, so 109% increase on 2019. And that is without some high spending visitors that hadn't or returned belatedly. I'm going to talk specifically about issues around the three I've mentioned. We're a sovereign nation. We've got Westminster Abbey on the top right, the Tower of London, and Windsor Castle, all of which featured significantly in I believe, I think I'm arrogantly assuming world attention, but certainly was a big feature here. Windsor Castle is now, post-COVID, only opens 5 days a week, and they are odd days. They open, they're closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They're open Thursday to Monday. It means that we've got that 5 days, and the Brits go away Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The Brits come and see the royal family, so the weekends are incredibly busy. The church here on the left-hand side is St George's Chapel. That doesn't open for that is only open for church services, an active church. It's where Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, is buried. It's obviously created a significant amount of interest since she died in September 2022. Because 2022, of course, we had her platinum jubilee, so there were huge royal attention during that year, and ridiculous. Around our wanderings of London, trying to condense visits to Buckingham Palace or visits around Buckingham Palace, or just or going into Westminster Abbey at the time were part of our difficult first world, I accept. Tower of London is still open 7 days a week. The crown jewels are a significant factor. They were taken away for a week, disappeared for the months. Bits of them disappeared for the months prior to the coronation. The visitor numbers were, once they've been returned, were significantly increased in 2023. We produce amongst ourselves in our Facebook chats, what's the report on the queue to the Jewel House? And again, one of the issues here, my fellow guides we're banned from visiting the crown jewels. That we can take people into the Tower of London, we can take them around certain parts, but we're restricted from actually going into where the crown jewels are, lest we speak to people and explain and hold up the queues and whatnot. So we have we were begrudgingly cast out as pariahs from the crown jewels. However, it meant that you have these regular little meetings with people that you either trained with or meet in the depths of winter run training courses. So you have so beneath the little monkeys, you have some others. Westminster Abbey was busy. It saw the funeral of Queen Elizabeth in 2022, and it saw the coronation of King Charles III. Surprisingly restricted amount of closures for the proceedings. It was about 2 weeks closed in the summer, so we were straight in there with people, with visitors during once normality. But of course, everyone is interested in knowing or seeing where the coronation took. Well, I say everyone. Visitors to London are very interested in seeing where the coronation took place. Industrial action, rail strikes affects. We have an ongoing rail strike. It's been going on for about a year, it feels like. I know, but with our industrial legislation, the unions can only they need to vote to strike that needs to have a significant number of its membership, and then they have been the rail companies in this country are separated into different companies. So we're not one. You get on a train, you can go from one end of the country to another, but you may be traveling through the realms of different companies, all of which, or many of which, have different unions and different aspects of the drivers. So we have a confusing strike. It's not an all-out, the rails have stopped working solidly for months. It's just that one union will go on strike one day. Well, that will disrupt things because you've got no drivers. The ticket collectors will go on another day. That's another day's disruption. Or you may just find the train was cancelled between 6 o'clock one day, or the strike is called at 6 o'clock one day, goes back to work at 6 o'clock the following day, but the trains are in the wrong place at the wrong time. It meant I had people traveling. Sustainable travel is what we're being encouraged to promote. People traveling from city to city, the best way in this country to travel by train. I know people were having to catch taxis at short notice because there were no trains, or they just cancelled their plans altogether because it just wasn't possible. The effects on guides was principally getting to work. I need to try to get into London. If I'm not driving or walk, if I'm not driver guiding in London, I need to travel by public transport. The parking is prohibitive in London for just a visit, for an 8-hour visit. So if I were with an 8-hour tour, so we were prevented. It was very difficult. There were a couple of days where we were found where it was time to move on. Anyway, so our demographic are the predominant number of visitors to the UK came from the States. The notable absences were from China and Russia. The Russians have not returned. Chinese people began travelling back at the later month, the last few months in the summer, and visitors from that part of the world bring their own challenges, as we say. I think we've glossed over them in previous speakers, but we'll talk about that later. Traffic issues, emissions, older cars suffering from restrictions, speed restrictions post-COVID. We can now only travel at 20 miles an hour. It's certainly, so that's 30 kilometers an hour. And but the density of traffic, partly due to the transport chaos, has meant that has produced its own challenges. Part of the controls that were any new vehicle must be electric. There's a whole debate about how far you can go in an electric car. There we go. The weather, that happened. It was a wet winter. We didn't snow. I don't forget, in the south it didn't snow. My Scottish friends will know it was grim, fairly bleak winter on their part. The south, the southeast, London in particular, the southeast gets the buffer from Europe, so it gets protected, and the North Atlantic, the southwest and Wales take all the rain from coming from those. It was relatively dry, but it felt as if there was no spring. It was suddenly cold, and then summer, the lights were switched on and the flowers came into bloom, and it was amazing. However, and then the schools broke up in July and it tipped down with rain, so hospitality really suffered. Challenges or opportunities post-pandemic. Better planning is required. We don't have the spontaneity anymore. The reduction in specifically, if I go to Windsor Castle, my ticket is for 2 o'clock. If I turn up at 1 o'clock, I've got to wait till 2 o'clock. Similarly, I go to places like the Roman baths in Bath, at Stonehenge. So we're now focusing on a more rigid itinerary, which is not quite, hasn't been my style in the past. So you lack spontaneity. You're trying to appear to give someone a unique opportunity, but you're never unique because you're giving them exactly the same thing as the last people had. But with many places, I say, have been many places closed during COVID have refurbished, and say hotels, restaurants are fabulous at the moment because they've all taken, many of them took grants to improve their facilities, and so accommodation here is quite quite well disposed. Local interest. It meant that we've got I'm for the first time in a few years, I'm taking English people out. Local interest, people wanting to do things locally. That's meant that they coalesce with the foreign visitors. So we end up with huge numbers of travellers in certainly the West End of London. It's very densely populated nowadays. And it's reduced, certainly driver guides, many of them, their cars were left lying around for 2 years and they decided to not worth the hassle. The legislation around, it was glossed over by my Irish friend at the beginning of this afternoon, saying how difficult it is with the legislation. We have a similar, and the controls certainly in London, thanks to an online platform that came about, an online taxi platform that I believe is in many countries around the world. Certainly to try and combat that, they've introduced significant fees and significant controls over who can and can't drive. Our season now seems to extend beyond the summer. National football, American football came over. It brings Americans into London in October. Up as far as November went a little quiet, and now we're started to have the Christmas celebration in December. And the signs are that whilst last year were postponed trips, the world suddenly gets smaller, and everyone heads to London. So we had 2 years worth of visitors who had been postponing their trips last year. We will have the new visitors next year who have seen our royal family advertise the country this year. So it's exciting times here. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you all for being part of what one of our journalists describes as being the industry of human happiness.
What a fantastic way to end, Glenn. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. So, and thank you everybody who joined our journey backstage today, shared opportunities, challenges, and expectations for the future. And thank you everyone who was watching. Before we play our video, as promised, for our second host country, or bid country, I should say, sorry, bid country for the 2026 WFTGA convention, just a preview for tomorrow. So tomorrow, my colleague James will be sharing the association journeys. And tomorrow we are going to Scotland, to Japan, to the Philippines, to South Africa, to Sweden, and to the Fiji Island. So please be back for tomorrow. And thanks again for watching today.
frontliners, daghang salamat at mabuhay tayo.
Okay, I hope you liked the video that was shown a while ago. a short clips of our community tour guides in the Philippines. And people are questioning or asking why we would like to bid for the upcoming WFTGA 21st convention of WFTGA on 2026. And particularly in the Philippines, because we would like to share, I mean, for how many decades uh, we had the chance to visit and conduct our convention to cold uh, places. I think it's now time for you to explore and have the warm weather of the Philippines and experience the Filipino tour guides' hospitality. And at the same time, people, others doesn't know that the Filipino community guides can speak English as well. And part of our theme for the WFTGA on 2026 is we really want to focus on the community guides, uh, local opportunities. What do we mean by local opportunities? We would like to share the global and the local opportunities. And in case that Philippines will be chosen to be part of it, uh, it will be a great opportunity for our community guides. And we really wanted to share as well the Filipino community tours guides, a brand of service excellence, which it has a seven core values. One, we call it the makamalika, or the what we call the belief and respect to the divine providence. That's how the Filipino community tourist guides are. The what we call makatao, the hospitality, as I mentioned, we are family. Our community guides are really family oriented and has the interpersonal relationship and belongingness. The makakalikasan, or the Filipino stewards on the environment. The makabansa, our Filipino community tourist guides are really stewards or nation builders. And our community guides are uh, the we have the power of smile and the spirit of the Filipino, and of course the Filipino resiliency. I hope surely you will love the community of tourist guides in the Philippines.